Junto em canas de problema chama jogando aí hoje nós vai pescar todo dia da semana com gana ou sem gana minha amiga só me chamar até que ficou da hora. Ui, bora que vem música boa, bora. Olha lá, Ubisoft, mais rápido, bora. No, let me know. No time. Let me say goodbye. I'm gonna perder.
What's happening, guys and girls? The exploration of the islands continues, and this week we're taking you into the woods. Discover Hawaii's wilderness.
Explain the eye and the stars of lion. I'll be there. No, you get to a
Good to resume our
moon.
progression on this playlist.
There's been time where I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week.
Now that you're all warmed up, how about a full-on drift event?
Working 2 or 3 different job centers just to pay for another hour of flying and another flying lesson. And yeah, it's been worth it.
Welcome back to Motorfest, the podcast. My name is Becky Evans, and this is a podcast brought to you by Red Bull and Ubisoft's iconic game, The Crew Motorfest. Now, in this podcast, I get to talk to motorsport athletes about their passions for all things speed, wings, and wheels. And you know what the really cool thing is? You can actually listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game. So grab one of your dream vehicles, jump in, strap in, because you're about to hear from the athletes that actually get to drive these in the real world. Let's get the show started. Now, today we've got a very, very special guest. We're going to be chatting to Luke Chapella. Luke is a multi-award-winning Red Bull Air Race winner, known for his precision, skill, and fearless flying. From winning the Challenger Cup to landing a plane on a helipad in Dubai, Luke is committed to pushing the boundaries of flying. Luke, we're delighted to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm just going to jump straight into it. I am terrified of flying, so when I knew I was going to be chatting to you, I was...
The airport is right on the coast, and the view of the ocean is stunning. At least that's what my databases tell me. Again, I'm just a robot.
thinking this guy is going to have to tell me everything that gets him up in the morning and says, you know what, I'm going to do a loop in a plane.
You know, flying aerobatics gives you such a freedom, you know, it's not every day that you can fly aircraft upside down, or you can fly it in reverse, like at 60 kilometers per hour. All the G-forces that we experience, it's something that you cannot experience on the ground. That's why I'm so happy to share it with other people. The taste of the freedom that we get, and yeah, spread the joy of flying.
Now, I come from a drifting background, and I was around cars from a very, very young age, and it was actually my dad who sort of ignited that in me, because I remember seeing him playing with his race car in the garage. It was the same kind of for you, wasn't it? You went to an air show when you were a very small boy, and then that was it, you were hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. My spark ignited when I was 6 years old. My dad took me to the air show in Poland. And it's just been amazing. You know, I was watching a aerobatic display and the aircraft was doing a tail slide. It's a figure where you go vertically up and it seems like you're shutting down the engine and the aircraft starts to slide back on its tail. And I saw it as a 6-year-old kid and I was like, Dad, I'm gonna do it in the future. And you know, many 6-year-old kids have different dreams every week. Sometimes you want to be a policeman, the week after you want to be a fireman. But for me, it has never changed. I've been flying now for 26 years, and I still love it.
That's absolutely crazy that you just picked your direction and just stuck with it. I mean, your first flight lesson, you were 14 years old, and then by 16, you got your license. So there was definitely method in your madness. This was all moving towards where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was so motivated. Like from this air show, I started playing with aircraft models, free-flying models, and then I just went to the airport and I became what's known as a hangar rat. You know, cleaning the airplanes for everyone. And in exchange, they would take me for a flight and usually let me fly the aircraft, give me the first lessons. by the time I went solo at 16, I was over the moon. It's been a lot of hard work, but so rewarding as well.
Luke, we were just saying to you just then, flying was always going to be what you were going to do. And I'm going to give you a question, which I almost feel like I know what the answer is already. If you could be a car, a plane, a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
Yeah, of course I'd go for a plane, but you know, this is what my life is all about. It's always been about flying. I have 13,500 hours in the year. That's like 4 years of my life. 10% of my life has been spent in the air. So yeah, I just want to be a better pilot with every flight I take.
I'd love to know more about the bullseye stunt. I mean, we saw and heard it at the beginning of the episode. Personally, for me, I remember seeing that, and I watched the video, and I had a heart attack and was like, oh my God. But obviously, I know that this guy made this happen because everyone's celebrating it, but I couldn't cope with it.
I almost had a heart attack on the first one as well. It was incredibly difficult project that we did. Landing a plane is such a short distance. It's not something very unusual for this kind of aircraft, but landing the plane on a small helipad that is 600 feet in the air, you know, 200 meters above sea level, that hasn't been done before, and it comes with a lot of difficulties. One of those difficulties is the shape of the building created the first special wind vortices, like a little tornadoes coming off the building, hitting the helipad, and these tornadoes wanted to suck in my aircraft and throw it towards the building, and that's what happened on the first two attempts when the winds were quite strong. So usually if you try to land short, you want a lot of wind because the wind will assist you, but not on a helipad. On a helipad, the less wind we had was easier to fly with the plane. So yeah, all in all, it took me like 6 for the actual landing on the helipad, and the first two attempts on the helipad on the windy day, they were, yeah, not very successful, and then we had to reset and try again the day after, so that was quite challenging.
I feel like the stakes are quite high, especially when you're doing something like that as well. Not only are you on like the Red Bull World stage creating a moment in history, there's the practical element of it as well, of trying to land this thing on a really tall building.
Yeah, so for me, being the best pilot I can be, it's, you know, it's the most rewarding. I'm not doing any of this for fame or money or whatever. I'm just doing it to show that I'm good, and I always want to be the best I can be. And I think we proved with this project that was one of the toughest things I ever did with the plane, and now we can see how successful the project was. We have like way over 1 billion views on the videos all over the platforms. So.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, for you guys that are listening at home, air sport, the sky is literally the limit with this. Aerobatics is a bit like acrobatics, except you're flying an aircraft. There's a lot of other things to consider, though, when you are flying. There's obviously safety, speed, weather. Luke, can you give us a rundown of like 3 main things that you have to be watching out for when you attempt to do some aerobatics in the sky?
Yeah, I think first will be the weather. All our aircraft don't have very sophisticated instruments, so we have to fly what's known as VFR condition, visual flying rules. We always have to see the ground. We have to stay outside of the clouds, and the winds play a big factor. Then, of course, it's the technical standard of the aircraft. We always try to make sure that the aircraft is airworthy. Having an engine failure approaching a helipad so close to the building or flying upside down 2 meters above the runway, yeah, it's an extreme sport. So the second crucial would be the technical side, and I think the third, but as equal as the other two, would be of course pilot fitness, and you know, we want to make sure I'm rested, I'm in a good physical condition. The G-forces is something that we fight with a lot. We fight from -8 to +10. What it means, I can get up to 10 times heavier, like weighing 80 kilos. I have 800 kilos of force hitting my body. The blood is 10 times heavier, and it drains away from the brain, goes towards my legs, and you can faint and you can lose your consciousness. And That can be, of course, very dangerous when you're close to the ground flying at 400 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, that does sound pretty crazy. I've seen some of the videos, you know, where people, when they put passengers in the plane. That's why I'm frightened, Luke, when you said I can go in the plane. I'd be like, I'd pass out. I'd be rubbish. You'd be looking back and there'd be asleep in the back seat. Terrible. Luke, help us understand a little bit more about the specifics of your job. I mean, because what people need to know is obviously you compete in Red Bull Air Race as well, and that is a competition. So what are the skills and the awareness that you need to be able to do this?
Yeah, Red Bull Air Race was one of the best flying I ever had a chance to do, and you know, you fly aircraft at 400 kilometers per hour between gates which are only 15 meters apart. The entire track has like 6 kilometers length, and we fly it in under a minute sometimes, you know. Incredible speeds. The aircraft can roll 420 degrees per second at 0.8 seconds to make a full roll. You need to be incredibly precise and really good pilot in order to plan.
It's like it never happened.
You have to stay behind the plane. Pretty good hand-to-eye coordination, I think, is a key factor, and as well as physical fitness, because, you know, we are so close to the ground, pulling high G forces. If you lose your concentration for a couple of seconds, this can be really bad for you.
Can you tell us, like, how you came from, it's quite a small place in Poland that you grew up in, to how you managed to take those steps to becoming the amazing pilot that you are today?
I think it's all about the motivation. You know, if you have a big goal set somewhere on the horizon, then you'll find a way to find the next step and next step. And it's all about those small steps that when you achieve them, they will keep you going. And, you know, I didn't have a very rich parents to support me. To start gliding, I was doing building jobs, renovating the hangar, helping out around the aircraft when I was 19. I had to make some decisions about going to uni or maybe to the Air Force. The Air Force didn't recruit. I didn't have money for the uni. But I was so motivated.
How about this one, driver?
Applied for an au-pair program.
All right, let's move to the next objective.
I became a babysitter.
You can't talk about American muscle cars without talking drag racing. The two are pretty much intertwined.
Here at 19, I moved to UK, and when the kids were at school, I would just run to the airport and help with the aircraft maintenance there. That's how I got my private pilot license for powered aircraft, and yeah, I just kept going at it, and yeah, it was really, really good, giving me the motivation to go step by step.
What I was thinking to myself when I was listening to your story there, like, not everybody feels as comfortable as you would be flying a plane. I mean, much less racing or backflipping in one. What are your top 5 tips for anyone who wants to successfully fly a plane?
You need to love it. When I started flying, you can just imagine my disappointment. It's been my dream for many, many years. When I started flying, what I realized is that I'm getting motion sickness, and I was sick every single flight. But human body is so amazing, and it adapts. That after a couple of months, you know, I didn't have a problem with that. And
muscle cars became popular during the 60s. At the time, they were mostly rear-wheel drive cars made from affordable everyday vehicle bases, but equipped with powerful V8 engines from much larger machines. One of the goals in making such performance-focused cars was covering a quarter mile as fast as possible. Can you guess which motor racing sport is about going all out for that very distance? Indeed, drag racing. There's a strip real close. A proper try is better than 1,000 words.
But there's been so many obstacles in my life that try to stop me from flying. But if you love it, you'll do anything to be good at it. And I'm thinking I'm a perfect example of someone going from zero to hero.
Whoa!
Just because of motivation and drive to do things, and not a lot of like financial support or anything from anyone else.
It's hard to explain to somebody who, you know, when you want to do something so bad. I mean, I can only talk about drifting from my side, and it's like, you're like, I don't have the money to do this, but I know I'm going to make it happen, and I've got no choice really. I've got to put myself on the track, or in your case, put yourself in the air, and that's kind of it. And you sort of just make it happen. You just have to.
De tudo foi um sonho. Queria, já te esperava e queria.
Drag racing time. Don't overthink, just burn and fly. Right on.
All right, let's keep talking.
No
Shall we continue our journey, driver?
choice really. I've got to put myself on a track, or in your case, put yourself in the air, and that's kind of it. And you sort of just make it happen. You just have to push and push and push, and everything when you
Ready for the next objective? Good to go.
wake up every single day. If you have that one thought in mind, you're able to make it happen.
Muscle cars are synonymous with raw power, and American-made motors are some of the most powerful out there. We wanted you to experience how Porsche meshes up against some other iconic automotive powerhouses.
Absolutely, and you know it will drive you to find ways to do it, like you know, buy another set of tires or buy another hour of flying. There's
The car you'll be driving is the 911 Turbo 3.6, one of the most famous sports cars in the world. Get ready to face off against some muscle car monsters.
in time where I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week, you know, working 2 or 3 different jobs sometimes, just to pay for another hour of flying and another flying lesson, and yeah, it's been worth it.
Well, let's talk about the Carbon Club UL. I mean, we've just obviously heard the noise of it. This is the plane that you use for the bullseye stunt, as well as the Edge 540, which is a single-seater and two-seater. These are the planes that you use for competition and day-to-day life. I'm feeling nosy. If I was to take a look inside these vehicles, what would be some exciting features that I would find?
I think for someone who's into...
You're going up against some tough muscle cars, but you're still driving a Porsche, so take care of it and avoid collisions as much as possible.
car racing, drifting, or rallies, I think the power-to-weight ratio is quite impressive. The aircraft that we landed on the helipad, it weighs 900 pounds, so for those of you in Europe, 400 kilos, and it has 230 horsepower. It's got the nitrous in it, like some of the racing cars, and with a flick of a switch, I can get my engine to get a 50 horsepower extra to go around. The aerobatic aircraft, I have a 10-liter engine which develops 350 horsepower in the aircraft that weighs just over 600 kilos, you know, so the power-to-weight ratio, it's close to Bugatti Veyron, I would say.
Sabes que estás perdido.
That's what allows me to fly the aircraft vertically.
É algo que tu nunca vi.
Achieve 400 kilometers per hour in the race aircraft, or thanks to a massive big wing, fly slowly at 50 kilometers per hour in variable times. And out of those two,
Minha barriga.
which one is my favorite? But
Tenho boas coisas para te dizer, mas onde é que tu andas? Não se encontrar alavancas. Um velho porta de espinhos. Nesta vida depois passado por vacilo. Não tenho tempo, passei, tanto errei. A nossa história eu nunca mudei. Juro que eu curei. Mãe, sempre fui eu que te procurei. Me gata assim contigo, imagino tudo. Ela diz-me a verdade, tu não me amava. Se um dia total nela e apagava as chamadas, atrás só a darem facadas. E tu na minha frente a fingir que alertavas. Nunca me disseste nada, mal sabes a sensação de tudo e não consegui alcançar o chão. Felicidade nunca envolve um só coração. O objetivo é superar a dor com quem amar. Mas tu te foste, me abandonaste, além de teu amar, teu amar. Ah, mano, vai te foder.